What's up guys, this is Coach Donnie with ElevateYourself.org. We've officially hit 100 members on our Elevate Yourself Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. Now, I gotta keep my end of the bargain and make 2 haiku videos for you every week starting next week. So get ready for a haiku feast. I have another exciting announcement for my next giveaway. The first 150 members to join the Patreon will automatically be entered for the next giveaway, so sign up below for a chance to win an Elevate lightweight hoodie like the one I'm wearing now and an Elevate lanyard. If you're a serious athlete and want to improve your recovery, muscle mass, power, and athletic performance, then I highly recommend using the Upper Echelon Nutrition Protein Supplement because it contains a high-quality whey protein isolate, it tastes great, and is third-party tested. I personally use this protein powder and I recommend it to all of my clients. Watch my full video review linked below and get 10% off your Upper Echelon Nutrition supplements with my discount code in the description box. Thanks for clarifying the word senpai. One of my new volleyball goals one day is to say, leave the rest to your senpai when I'm subbing for someone on the court. I'm glad you guys are enjoying my haiku thumbnails. I'm usually not a very expressive or emotional person, but watching this anime has made me feel like a kid again, so I thought I would have more fun with the thumbnails. I'm happy to hear that you're enjoying the newly added subtitles. Even though it does add an extra hour of video editing, I realize that it's difficult to follow the story trying to look at a faded image for 30 minutes. I'm always thinking of ways to make my videos better every time. One of you laughed at my comment of hoping that Hinata would hit Oikawa in the face. I actually wasn't joking when I made that comment. When I really don't like a team or a specific player, I actually do try to hit them in the face, and it's the best feeling in the world. I need to add that I only dislike teams and players that act like douchebags or try to intimidate my team or my teammates.
Headshot.
I already liked Takeda Sensei a lot for generously giving up his time so Karasuno can have a boys volleyball team. Now that I know he's a Japanese literature teacher, that makes me like him even more since I'm a high school teacher too. Here's an interesting fact about myself. I actually love to write. I'm a much better writer than I am a speaker. One thing I love about my Patreon is I actually started blogging again and I forgot how much I enjoyed writing. Every month I write a blog for members only that shares my personal thoughts and what I've learned that month. So if you want to have access to my private blog, then join the Elevate Yourself Patreon. Now that many of you have identified the K-pop setter as Oikawa for me, I'm not sure if I want to keep calling him K-pop setter or actually call him by his real name Oikawa. Let me know in the comments below which name you prefer. Now let's see what happens in episode 8. Karasuno versus Date Tech. Oh, such a cool slow motion, floating in that attack position. He has no eyebrows. It kind of reminds me of Brawly from Dragon Ball Z. Stomach problems like Hinata. Maybe he drank some milk before the game. Hey, what's this guy doing here? Are? He's gonna do a little fake. Oh, double quick. Okay, you're rarely going to see this play in high school. Even at the professional level, this is hard to execute. So that's what we call a double quick, where the middle and the outside hitter go almost at the same tempo. So it looks like you're missing the middle just to go over the outside hitter. But it's impressive that the blockers actually did read the attack, because they did put up a double block on the outside hitter, but the outside hitter was just able to hit line and round the block. He was already talking about the punishment after a game because they're so used to losing. Oh, that's such a great core exercise, the seal walk. On a minus tempo. So I get a lot of questions on my YouTube channel about the minus tempo, and some people think it's fake, some people think it's actually a real play. I haven't seen enough of it yet on the anime, but what I think they're talking about is actually jumping before the setter actually touches the ball. So in that case, it's technically a negative tempo because you are already in the air before the setter actually sets at you, where a traditional quick tempo hit is where you actually are in the air the moment the setter touches the ball, so it's a little bit easier to time. But a minus tempo, if I'm thinking of it correctly, requires truly perfect timing between the hitter and the setter. So I'm curious to see what this minus tempo looks like throughout the series. The impregnable wall of Date. The technical school, so meaning they're very precise with their movements, maybe. Yeah, it's very hard to get two blockers against every hitter. So it looks like this school is known for blocking defense. Suki's basking in Hinata's failure. Yeah, he's got to sell it. The more Hinata scores, the more they're going to believe that they're going to set Hinata, which means he's going to fake it more. As a setter, a good strategy is to establish your middles or your quick attack early, because the only way that the opposing blockers will believe in your quick attack is if it's actually effective. So for middles, on the other hand, don't jump with the middle unless they've successfully hit at least one quick attack. Other than that, don't give them credit that they haven't earned, and just focus on blocking left or right. So setters, establish your middles, get that quick attack going early in the game, and middle blockers, don't block the middle unless they have proved they can be effective on a quick attack. That guy was recruited as the coach from the bakery. I knew it. Get lost in the crowd. Wonder what he means by that. Maybe being just in the moment? Let's go back to that freeze image here with Kageyama back setting a quick to Hinata, and Hinata's not even looking at the ball. This is really, really, really hard to do. There's actually only one team that I can think of that can do this consistently, and it's only at the professional level. It's from the Brazilian men's team, between Bruno, the setter, and Lucas, their middle. And the only reason why they're able to execute that crazy off the net, behind them quick attack is because Bruno and Lucas have been playing together since they were teenagers. So they've built up this chemistry over so many years, and now they're able to do it at the professional level. And it's almost impossible to stop because it's so unpredictable and it's very difficult to execute. So blockers just don't think that you're actually going to try to run this play. Yeah, he managed to bring this up and down. He's talking a little indirectly. I'm still processing what the heck that coach said. It sounded a little bit mysterious. I wanted to highlight what Kageyama said about making the last adjustment. Teams that win aren't the most powerful, aren't the fastest, and you can list so many other qualities. The team that wins in the end is the one that makes the last adjustment. Because you'll see very talented teams that have a fantastic attack or a really good serve or great defense. And that'll work maybe for the first 1 or 2 sets, or even just during the first half of a game. But great teams will actually identify those patterns early, make the appropriate adjustments, and then end up winning because they're the ones that are making the last adjustment. And if the first team doesn't adjust back, then they're going to be stuck doing the same move that worked in the beginning of the game, but not at the end of the game. And I see this happen all the time. A lot of people, they have their favorite swing when they're spiking, and it works in the beginning and they're killing it, and then they wonder why toward the end of the game against a good team it doesn't work. It's because a good team will adapt. So now you have to continue to make the last adjustment. I hope that makes sense. There's a lot of great volleyball information here. Tochi! Nishinoya, that's the libero. Oh, charging like Akuma, that flame. Everyone's fully committed to the attack. Ooh, I think they got faked out. Oh, that is that Brazilian tempo set, the minus tempo. Set, the minus tempo. He's insanely annoying to track. Yeah, he's tricky. He's always watching all of his options. Okay, I think I know what the coach is saying, or I'm assuming that the Baker is the coach now. So he's saying that Hinata is approaching at the same tempo, but at different spots. That means the opposing blocker has to keep track of a new type of hit that Hinata is doing every single time. Because it looks like Hinata is taking a different route, but at the same tempo. So it's just more things for the middle to keep in mind. Now the coach did mention the term read blocking. Now, the opposite of read blocking is commit blocking, where you have a game plan, you identify who the strongest hitter is, or maybe you stick with your hitter and you commit to blocking that person. So it's not a lot of thinking there, it's just having a pre-programmed plan to try to stop the other team. Read blocking is a little bit more advanced because, like the coach said, you have to process a lot of information. You have to process all these different cues in less than 2 to 3 seconds, which include where the pass is, what the setter's doing, where the hitter is approaching from, the timing of the hitters, the body language of everybody. So read blocking is definitely more advanced, and the reason why the read blockers, although they're very good, are having trouble because he's overloading them with the amount of information they have to process in that short amount of time. Suddenly bares its fangs like a wolf. Oh, he saw Hinata. Coach Ukai saw Hinata before. He doesn't like that old guy. He's probably grumpy. Yeah, they want them to commit to Hinata more to open up the blockers, so the pin blockers or the pin hitters will only hit against one blocker. Don't interrupt. He's having his soliloquy. Hey, where's the water bottle? High Q to the top. The orange hair, that must be the Hinata bird. It's a new player with the man bun. Yeah, that's really hard to time. All that sweat. Too much talking, he's getting tired from talking. Yeah, Hinata's an eating and playing machine, but Kageyama does not approve. Triple block. Ooh, just out. This is toward the end of the match, so it looks like everyone's getting tired. He learned encouragement. So here we start to see fatigue settling in, and maybe it's because Karasuno has never been pushed to this point, and Date is really good at block and defense, so this is a really interesting matchup. I hope I'm pronouncing their school's name correctly. If I'm not, just let me know in the comments. In the same way that Date Tech is being stressed and overloaded by all these crazy offensive patterns that they have to keep track of, Karasuno is also being overloaded because when a blocking defense team is that good, it really forces hitters to end up overswinging because they don't want to get blocked or they're tired of getting dug. So even if you don't get blocked, getting dug all the time also will mentally wear you down, and you get frustrated and you think, gosh, why can't I score this point? So you end up overswinging, and I've done that many times where I'm trying so hard to hit the line because I'm tired of getting blocked that I end up over-rotating and overswinging. That's a funny sound. Are those hecklers at Karasuno? I think so. This is the Karasuno gym. Oh, I know exactly how that feels to be on the bench and just hope to get subbed in. He can sense that. But why is the coach also sweating? Here's a tip for all the players on the bench. Good coaches are always actually looking at the bench. They might not look like it. You'll see the coach, and I already forgot his name. He's looking for it, but he's kind of taking a peek at who's ready. And it's very obvious the players who are engaged and the players who are just hanging out and complaining about how they never get game time. And you can even hear the side conversations that some of your players are having. They're talking about how this girl looks funny or that guy's so cool. If you're a player on the bench, your job is to study the game and be ready. I know it's a hard job. I actually rode the bench on my varsity team for 2 years in high school, and I only played maybe 1 or 2 matches. And the worst part is, the person that started over me was the coach's favorite, and he was allowed to play almost every game, even though he would miss some practice and show up late all the time. But I didn't let that be an excuse for me not to be ready. Because toward the end of my junior year of high school, after my second year of sitting on the bench and my butt getting numb all the time from sitting for the entire match, I was finally subbed in because another starter, our opposite hitter, got injured. So Victor, if you're listening, thank you for getting injured, and I'm sorry you rolled your ankle. But I was so ready at that point, and all this pent-up frustration and hard work and intense focus of studying the game from the bench, I was able to finally release that. So when I got subbed in, I just said to myself, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it, and this might be my only opportunity. And I just swung as hard as I could. I dove for every single ball, and I just played my heart out. And I ended up doing really well, and I didn't believe I was actually gonna play that well. So that was my breakthrough moment. But if I spent all that time on the bench whining and complaining and talking about what I'm going to eat afterward or how hot this girl is, I would have missed out on those 2 years of training and building up that desire. I ended up starting every match the rest of that season, and then my last year of high school, my senior year, I was the team captain and MVP of the team. So I went from riding the bench for 2 years to being the best player on the team. Not by accident. I busted my butt every day during practice and studied the game and was ready on the bench every single game for 2 years. So you guys have no excuse. We're playing with a different ball, the Mikasa MVA 200. Way to follow the ball out. That's a good coach. That's the interesting comment that the coach made about stop freaking out. All you had to do is serve it in. Sometimes when we get subbed in or we're nervous, we end up over-engineering the situation or doing too much. Sometimes the game plan is just to serve an easy ball over, because as you can see, Date Tech's serve receive is not very good. And I like how he's making him sit next to him, which is the exact opposite of what the player wants, but is exactly what he needs to get used to that pressure and just confront the fear of being next to the coach. Daichi with the dig. Minus a tempo. Oh, they read it. That's the first time. The stare down. But covered by the libero. Let's see who's synchronized attack, who's going to get set. Set the man bun. Ooh. It's so frustrating. I know exactly what he's going through. The reason why their offense is effective, and they've touched upon this several times, is the intent of the hitters. You can tell when a hitter is not into it and they're just being a decoy, because they don't go with approach at full speed, their facial expression is kind of blah. So if you want to be an effective hitter, whether or not you get set, you have to go with 100% intent every single time. And that goes back to what I said in the previous video where I talked about the role of a middle blocker. Your first role is to block. Your second role is to attack a quick hit. Your third role is to sell the hit. And all three incidences, you have to go with maximum intent every single time. I know it's a tough job, but that's just part of your job. So that's what makes Hinata so effective, is his intent of selling his hit every single time. And I think it's cool that he's playing middle even as a short player, but because he's so fast. Taking credit, which is true. The Kageyama was able to see that and set the right hitter. Come on, Kanaka, take your shirt off. Damn, this guy's a blocking machine. It's really hard to block an overpass like that. Good cover, Nishio Noya. Man, this music's getting intense. They got violins. He's gonna tip it. He's got 3 blockers. He hit hard off the top of the block. He's a smart hitter. I forgot his name. So let's go over that play again. So that's what we call an out-of-system play, where Nishinoya did a great job of just covering the ball, which means playing the ball off the block again to give his team another offensive opportunity. Now in those situations, you're just trying to get the ball up high in the middle of the court. In system means a perfect pass where the setter can set all the hitters comfortably and everyone is in rhythm. That's what we call in system. But when the pass is not great and is off the net, then that takes out the middle hitter and you have to slow down the offense just a little bit because you have to give your hitters a little more time to set up in that imperfect situation. So that's what we call out of system. So here the 3 blockers have a lot of time to set up and fully line up against this hitter, and they've taken away almost every single option. And the man bun does a great job of adapting, making the last adjustment to a well-formed triple block, and he attacks what we call the high hands and ricochets it off the hands out the court. This is one of my favorite spikes to hit because as a smaller hitter, virtually every block is going to be huge to me. And I'm usually one of the primary hitters on my team, so I usually get 2 to 3 blockers on me majority of the time. So I've learned as a smaller hitter to attack the edges of the block, but this is the softest part of the block, right? The forearm is made of a lot of bone and muscle that's very firm and rigid, but the hands are the softest part. So even though blockers can control the ball a little bit with their hands, when you hit hard enough, the hand is still going to lose against a hard hit ball because it is the softest part of the block. So it's going to ricochet in random directions. So if you ever get stuff blocked, which means get blocked straight down, it's probably because you're hitting too low into the block. Make sure you aim high into the block, especially against a double or triple block. It's crazy. They even illustrated the raised hoop and all the machinery and the mechanics that go into having a basketball raised up to the ceiling, because most high school gyms are multi-purpose and accommodate different sports. This looks exactly like the structure that I have in our high school gym. Tape is for the weak. Just joking. Yeah, like Bruce Lee, huh? Finger push-ups. Yeah, when you have tape, it does throw your sensitivity off, but sometimes you have to do that if you have an injury. Yeah, Kageyama already has fans. That's pretty high. So what Kageyama is saying there is setting at a higher point, like if you're a taller setter or if you can jump very high and set near the top of the net, that means the ball gets to the hitter even faster, which makes it even more difficult for the opposing blockers to react to. Compared to setting someone like Hinata, although he's fast, he still has to jump a further distance, and if Kageyama cannot reach as high as the orange hair setter, it does a slight delay, which gives the blockers a little bit more time to react. The respectful bow at the end. What the heck is Tanaka doing? Wonder why his face was like that. Wonder why that moment was so awkward. Ah, because everyone's intimidated by them. Because they're big and strong. Maybe I'll grow some facial hair to try to be extra intimidating. This guy's intimidating. He looks like one of the androids from Dragon Ball Z. If you watch Dragon Ball Z, I'm not talking about the new one, but the old school one. I forgot what android number. He's the one with the white long hair and the hat. But he was super intimidating, just like this guy. So if you watch Dragon Ball Z, let me know in the comments, and let's give that a bunch of thumbs up to bring back the old school Dragon Ball Z crowd. Well, he's lucky to have a teammate to stay after to practice with him. Ooh. That was a good float serve. No spin. Punishing himself with push-ups. Finger push-ups looks like. Let's talk about this last float serve. When you serve a float serve, even though it's not traveling as fast as a jump serve, like a topspin serve, it's still very effective because it moves unpredictably. The reason why you don't want to have any spin on a float serve is because it displaces air unevenly. If a ball is spinning, it's displacing air evenly, which means it has a predictable arc. When it has a predictable arc, you can know where to stand, and the only thing that really makes a jump serve effective is the power. So if you serve a topspin serve with not a lot of power, you're actually making it easier for the opponent because it has a predictable trajectory at a slower speed. If you serve a topspin serve at a high velocity, then you can overpower the opponent even if they get in the way. Now a float serve, regardless of whatever velocity, is difficult to keep track of because there is no spin. The air is pushing the ball in random directions, which is why it kind of wobbles. It's similar to a knuckleball in baseball. And especially with those Mikasa balls, those things float like crazy. They're very difficult to track. And the only way to get better is to keep practicing and learn how to track it better. Oh, that's Nishinoya. I didn't recognize him with... Oh, there you go. The back roll. Ah, so he's purposely practicing overhand passing. It is a weakness if you don't use all your tools. Yep, it's no fun if you don't expand your toolbox. There you go, saying something cool again. Oh, this is the guy I think that missed his serve. Yes, oh, so true. Let your teammates make you better by forcing you to be better. Maybe he's concerned because he wants to get some playing time, which is understandable. I'll share a volleyball story about what Kinoshita is thinking, how originally he was staying after to help Nishinoya, I think that's his name, to help with his passing. But now he's realizing that, wow, I actually have a pretty good serve, so you know what, this is my practice. That's a great mental technique to take what seems like someone else's benefit or maybe your disadvantage and reframing it in your mind so that it is your advantage. Going back to when I sat the bench for 2 years, I was frustrated as hell, but I thought, well, if I can't physically improve from being on the court, I'm going to mentally improve by being a good teammate, because I'm going to study body language, I'm going to analyze what the other person is doing wrong and try to learn from it and implement it myself. And I think that's why I took such a great interest in coaching right after high school, because I spent so much time watching and analyzing the game and understanding kind of team movement that it prepared me to end up learning a lot faster when I did get on the court. So going back to Kinoshita, if you're on the bench, one of the best ways to try to get some playing time is to be a great server. And I can't emphasize that enough. A lot of people think of serving as a way to start the play, but think of it as my first chance to attack. That I can disrupt the entire team based on what I can do. Now what's unique about serving compared to setting, hitting, passing, and blocking is that it's a closed chain skill, which means it's completely within your control. You toss it, you hit it. Whereas hitting, someone else is setting you, passing, someone else is hitting at you or serving at you. But for serving, That's something you can practice completely on your own, and also when you're in the game, no one else can affect you except for you. So again, if you want to get court time, work on your serve outside of practice. You got to get your reps in, and if you can serve a spot, ooh, that's a coach's dream. If you can serve a tough serve consistently, that's another coach's dream. I'll tell you a story from one of our best high school seasons, 2009 and 2014. There were two girls on the team that just loved to play and play all the time, but they just weren't as good as some of the 8 other players that were regularly starting. So I don't remember if I told them specifically, but they just ended up becoming one of the best servers on the team. And knowing their attitudes, I think they were thinking, well, how can I get on the court? I might not be as good as a hitter as this person, as good as a setter, or as good as a blocker, but you know what? I can be the best server on the team. That's something I can contribute on the court. So those two players ended up coming in for a couple points, and they knew that the better they served, the longer they stayed on the court. So they ended up becoming key players on the team as kind of like the 7th or 8th man, coming in to serve 1 or 2 points, disrupting the team. And even if they didn't serve an ace, they would cause a bad pass, which meant a free ball on our side, or according to Haikyuu term, chance boru, which means we can set up our offense and score again. Even at the professional level, they will hire people on national teams if they have a good serve. You'll see how all teams have a serving specialist. So work on your serves, you have complete control over it, and you can practice it anytime you want outside of practice. No excuses. Is this Hinata running back to his mountain home? Coach Ukai's place is going to be on break. Curious what he means by that. That's a Mikasa beach. Well, that's an old Mikasa beach volleyball. That's like his little sister. These are some advanced ball control drills when you do it sitting down. That's a good older brother. Yeah, another way to practice on your own for passing and setting. Work on your touch. This is a great drill, by the way. This is a very realistic drill. I do something similar for my players. This reminds me of my relationship between myself and my older brother, who's 6 years older. I credit my older brother for my personal success for 2 reasons. He used to bully me a lot when I was younger, like pick on me, pants me whenever he got the chance, mess with me at nighttime and wouldn't let me sleep, and would cheat in all the games so he could win, which is like typical older sibling behavior. So I credit my brother for building this rage in me where I always had to fight up. Nothing came easily when it came to my brother, because he was always pretty much pushing me down, and I spent so many of my early years learning how to push up and having to fight for myself. So I think that's where I get a lot of my fighting qualities from, of not giving up, being persistent, and seeing adversity as a wall to climb, not as a wall to stop me. The funny thing is he's a pastor now, and he's actually one of the best older brothers a person could ask for, so he's changed a lot over the years. The other reason why I credit my brother for my personal success is when he decided to become a pastor and he became Christian, he definitely made like a 180-degree turn. When he went off to college and I was still in middle school, that's when he became a really good older brother, and he would actually take me outside and try to teach me things. He taught me how to play drums, basketball, would encourage me in my artwork, And even now, anytime I have a business idea, he's always rooting for me and encouraging me to go for it. And I remember I used to tell people that I wanted to be a full-time trainer and a coach, and everyone told me I couldn't make a living off of that. But I think my brother really saw how much I loved it and how good I was at it. So I really thank my brother for pushing me in those two ways, even though they're very different. And that kind of reminds me of what Hanada is doing with his younger sibling. He's teaching her, but he's also laughing at her and pushing her too to be better. So thank you, God, for changing my brother. Even the younger sibling recognizes his progress. That's a dirty ball. Here are my immediate reactions to Season 8. I was actually hoping they would give more of a formal introduction to the two new players, especially Nishinoya, the libero, and they made a huge build-up of who this guardian deity was, and then they just start the next episode with just him playing. Then there's the man bun guy who hits the crap out of the ball, and I don't really know anything about him. I'm sure they're going to explain who he was later. But having a long intro for Itsuki, Kageyama, Hinata, and all the other players, I really enjoyed that character development, and I wish they would have done that for the two new players. I like the Baker coach. He's already making a lot of great coaching decisions, and not just strategically on the court, but also learning how to manage personnel, such as making the most intimidated player sit next to him. I like how Date Tech is known for their block and defense, and that is true. A lot of teams have a particular style, which means the coach is doing a good job coaching them to their strengths and using their strengths to exploit the other team's weakness. I'm surprised to see Karasuno walking away with another win, so I think they're off to a 2-0 start for the season. I didn't expect them to develop this quickly, especially working on the timing of the minus tempo and a full run offense takes a lot of time and chemistry to develop. But sometimes you might just have a team of players that end up clicking and working really well together. I really like the side stories that the writer has added about players coming off the bench and the challenges of learning how to perform under pressure, but also the challenge of just sitting on the bench. It's inspired a lot of old memories from myself when I sat on the bench, but that's what makes this anime so relatable. Because the reality is, majority of the people who play on volleyball teams are actually not starters. The benches on high school teams especially are usually a lot larger than the actual players on the court. So it's great that the writer is providing material that we can all relate to. Don't forget our free giveaway of this lightweight hoodie and the Elevate lanyard for the first 150 members to join our Patreon, so make sure you sign up below. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction video. I'll see you guys in the next one.